Yeah, so we just gonna, oh my god. When you drive to the Philippines, you need to be very
You're
careful.
incurable, honey.
Backseat driver, that's my husband, he's always telling me.
Incurable backseat driver.
But I'm in the front, I'm on your side, so that's
Yeah.
you need to change it. From backseat driver, you're just gonna set
Title fits.
right side driver, right? Yeah, so while we're driving, so I'm checking all the previous messages. So we got a message here. So there, Terence and Beth, I am your newly subscriber and I salute on what you're doing to bring change to kids' life. Looking of your video, I was amazed how many students you've sent to school. It's not us, sir, it's our hero behind our work. It's really great time and efforts you put up on your work. With regards to my case, I have a hard time to agree with my wife to send her cousin to college. I told her it's not our obligations, but my wife is not in the mood once it's about correcting her, not to let her relatives abuse her kindness. I told her, why poor people just thinking of answering the call of the flesh, and not the call of obligation. Based on my experience, Terence and Beth, based on your experience, Terence and Beth, what should I do, Ricky? He's saying that why, in other words, why is it others are just producing, and not thinking on the future of the kids and what happened after they got, because when you got sent to school, give them food, give them proper shelter, give them educations. Why is it some of them are not thinking on that way?
He has a valid point.
Yeah.
But his logic and wisdom is misplaced in the Philippines. The arrival of a child in the Philippines is regarded as being a blessing, and we are in a heavily Roman Catholic country, heavily, right? So they're hardcore Catholics.
Yeah.
And you got to understand one thing about Catholics, is that a Catholic is brought up from school to agree. This is what they're educated into. And I speak as a former Catholic, right? And that is that when the Pope speaks on matters of policy of the Catholic Church, he is infallible. The word infallible means it cannot be wrong. So if he speaks, he is speaking in communion with God, and he is unable to make a mistake if it's to do with the policy of the church. And that's what I was taught as a kid, and I believe that that's still the way of believing in the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church is opposed to contraception. We're not talking about being opposed to abortion here. We're talking about being opposed to contraception. So you're not allowed to stop the birth of a child either. You're supposed to practice the safe periods in a woman's menstrual
But in the
cycle.
what do you call that? It's available now in the health center, the pills where it's free. You just go there.
Contraception.
Yeah, the contraception, But on your
And
case,
is that authorized by
it's
the Pope?
I don't know.
Are you sure?
I
Oh, you're sure you don't know?
I don't know, but
Okay.
it's free there, So
Yeah.
so that's another thing. I think in just on your case, sir, you're just having a hard time to think that why is it's the obligations of your wife with regards to the relatives, But you look at this way and you say, as you say in your letter, that's saying that why is it some of them are just thinking on the flesh and not thinking on the future ahead, We also encounter that kind of questions, when we do the housing. Why, we receive some comment and message, why is it the parents are not thinking on the welfare of the kids, and then we always saying that, it's not, we agree, we agreed on that, but it's the way we help is not about, we're not looking on the fault of the parents, we're just thinking on the on what the kids gonna, if they have a comfortable home, a secure home. But yes, it's difficult matters, right? Because sometimes
Yes.
you're just gonna say, why is it they're just doing that, you
It's
know?
complicated. You're talking about a culture which is based on the idea of large families.
Yeah, because I will not mention, you know, we have one family that we rehouse, you know, and one of the workers telling us that, you know, the kids are just they go to school without food yet, you know, they just go to school and they didn't eat yet, you know, and then I just said, wow. And then some of them they just the kids just go to the just pick up some guava, you know, the one that just growing in the bushcrop, you know, and just eat that, you know. Sometimes you're just saying, you know, it's kind of irresponsible parents, but then, you know, what can we do?
Well, but what Beth is saying, if you haven't understood, what Beth is saying is that when we are trying to judge whether someone should get a house, it's tempting to look at how responsible the parents are.
Yeah.
But the fact is that if we're listening to stories such as Beth has just been saying, that the kids are not getting enough to eat, then we are not there to judge whether the parents are doing a good job or not. We're looking at the faces of 7,
Yes.
8, sometimes. We gave a house to someone who had 11 children at one time, a few years ago. 11 children. Are we going to look at whether the man has got the self-discipline to keep it in his trousers? That's not for us to judge. We're looking at 11 children who need some help, who are having a rough time, and they're not able to control anything. So we try not to judge them.
I think also some of them are the mindset is when the kids is growing, they could find a job and they could help us, you know. So that's
And they will
another thing.
support the parents.
Yeah, they
Yes.
support the parents. Like on our case, Nanay we are 10. How many?
10, you've got 10.
We got 10.
Your mother has 10 children.
10. We got 10 overall, you know.
You're
so
the 10th.
and then my other relatives got 12, 9, 8, you know. So it's a lot, you know. But then as you're saying, I'm just blessed that my father is really workaholic, you know, that I grew up I grew up looking how my father is working very hard despite of our the hardship in the rice field, you know. But my father tried to feed as much as possible you know. We have no problems on the rice, and you know, so that's another thing. There are some parents that responsible, that even though they produce, they make sure that their kids are being well fed,
Yeah,
right?
it's another culture.
That's another culture, you know. So on your case, sir, I think all you need to do is just understand the point of your wife. Why? Maybe the auntie who is the parents of your wife's cousin help your wife, you know, help your wife before, and your wife just want to pay back on them through her cousin, you know. And
Paying it forward.
besides investing on future is kind of a good investment, because it's the result of that is a long term, you know. You're helping this kid, you're helping that person, but later on you help a lot in the long run, because that person, when he get married, he got a good life, and then the kids will having a good life. So it's a kind of what they call that cycle. Is that cycle, darling? Or
It's trying to change the cycle of poverty.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
What we're
another
trying
thing.
to do.
And we got a good friend saying that even if you help one person, that's a lot, you know.
Yes.
Because you're changing the lives of that person. So just look at this way. Just look at that way. That, for example, instead you eat Jollibee every day. Every day you eat Jollibee. Just have one fasting in a week. And that fasting, by not eating Jollibee, you give it to the cousins of your wife. You know. So just look at that way. You know, helping. You know. So, but if you don't want, sir, nobody force you. It's up to you.
Yeah, but can I just say, before we close, you are missing out possibly on a far more enriched life if you actually try to integrate in with the culture that you have joined. It's not just about finding a lovely woman and marrying her and then going off and living in this little tiny cocoon of just the two of you in some kind of Hollywood romance. That's not the real life. You joined your wife in a poor culture. I call this the one egg economy. You can go into a sari store and buy one egg.
Yeah.
That's how poor people can be here. Not all of them, but a lot. So how poor a family did you agree to be part of? Because you haven't just in a country where the family is so important, to come in, marry one of the children, and then refuse to be part of the family is a little short-sighted in my view only.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's it again, sir. So you solve your problem, it's your problem. Bye-bye.